The morning sun bathed the village of Willowbrook in a gentle golden light, spilling across rolling meadows and painting the quaint cottages in warm hues. In one such home, Eleanor moved quietly about her morning chores, her hands deftly tending the garden, arranging herbs, and carrying out tasks with a grace that seemed effortless. Beneath her calm exterior, however, her heart carried a restless longing, a quiet yearning for a life that reached beyond the boundaries of Willowbrook. Known for her gentle charm and intelligence, Eleanor captivated those around her, yet few could understand the quiet ache she carried within her. It was on one such morning that William arrived in the village. Tall, strong, and striking, he carried an air of confidence that was impossible to ignore. His eyes, dark and penetrating, held a depth that seemed to look straight through to the soul. William was a young man of notable family and courage, known for his skill and honor, but also for his humility, rare among those of his standing. The villagers assumed his visit was for business, yet fate had woven a different purpose into his journey. Their first encounter was simple and unremarkable to anyone else. William sought directions to a distant town. Eleanor pointed the way, her fingers lingering slightly on the worn map. In that fleeting moment, as their eyes met, a silent spark ignited, a connection that neither could explain. It was as if their souls recognized each other, spanning time and distance. Words felt inadequate, yet both sensed the profound force of destiny at work. Days passed, and their paths continued to cross. At the village well, along narrow country lanes, and during market days, they shared fleeting glances and shy smiles. Conversations began, hesitant and light at first, talk of the weather, the crops, and the village's rhythms. But beneath these casual exchanges lay a depth only they could feel, a bond forming in laughter, shared stories, and quiet understanding. Each interaction drew them closer, weaving a tapestry of connection they could neither resist nor deny. Yet love in a small village carries scrutiny. Willowbrook thrived on tradition and expectation. Families observed daughters and sons carefully, assessing potential unions and guarding honor. Eleanor's family noticed her sudden preoccupation, the way her gaze often drifted beyond her chores. Rumors stirred among neighbors, murmurs of a young woman lost in thought, and the man whose glances lingered too long. Every smile, every look came under the sharp gaze of a village eager to protect itself. Eleanor, aware of these watchful eyes, felt both fear and exhilaration. Love had awakened something in her that she had never known before, a force that defied reason, yet felt undeniable. William, too, felt the weight of scrutiny pressing upon him. He understood the peril their growing affection might bring, not only to themselves, but to their families. And yet the heart rarely bends to caution alone. One evening, as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the fields, William lingered at the edge of the village where Eleanor often wandered. The air carried the fragrance of blooming jasmine, and distant bird calls echoed softly through the twilight. Eleanor, sensing a presence, turned and met his gaze. They exchanged a quiet, knowing smile, a smile heavy with emotion, more eloquent than words could ever be. In that moment, they understood that their lives had changed irrevocably. But the world outside their private sanctuary remained unforgiving. Eleanor's family had begun considering suitors, unaware that their daughter's heart belonged elsewhere. William's respected lineage did not shield him from societal scrutiny. The stage was set for the inevitable collision of love and duty. That night, under a canopy of stars, William approached Eleanor's window. The rustle of leaves accompanied his cautious steps. "Eleanor," he whispered, his voice filled with urgency yet tenderness. She opened the window, her heart racing, and met his gaze, eyes filled with longing and sincerity. "I feel as though I have known you forever," he murmured, "and yet it seems the world will not let us be." Tears glistened in Eleanor's eyes. "I feel it too," she admitted, voice trembling. "But what can we do? My family, the village." William gently took her hand, a silent promise passing through the touch. "We will find a way. If the world stands against us, we will face it together." As the night deepened, they lingered in the fragile space between innocence and experience, hearts bound by a love neither time nor distance could diminish. Somewhere beyond the village, shadows stirred, families, societal expectations, and fate itself, watching, waiting, ready to test the strength of their bond. The first chapter of their love had begun, tender and fragile, a delicate flame flickering against the winds of the world. Yet little did they know the true test of William and Eleanor's devotion was only beginning, and it would demand courage, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment. The days following their first quiet confession were filled with stolen moments, a delicate dance of longing and restraint. Each morning, Eleanor would glance from her window, hoping to see William walking along the winding paths leading into Willowbrook. Sometimes he appeared at the village well, exchanging brief greetings with the townsfolk, his calm confidence lighting his every movement. Their eyes would meet across the distance, a silent acknowledgement of something deeper than friendship, yet tempered by caution. Each fleeting glance made their hearts beat faster, a mixture of exultation and fear threading through every moment. Their love bloomed like a hidden wildflower, vibrant yet fragile, nourished in secrecy. Every whispered conversation beneath the old oak by the river, every brush of hands while exchanging a basket or a letter, carried the weight of countless unspoken words. William's heart, bold and steadfast, never overstepped the boundaries Eleanor's safety demanded. Eleanor, in turn, became acutely aware of the potency of her feelings. How a glance, a word, or a fleeting smile could ignite a love that might change their lives forever. But Willowbrook was a village bound tightly by tradition, and no secret could remain hidden for long. Whispers began to stir in the narrow lanes, neighbors remarking on Eleanor's distracted demeanor, her laughter that seemed to bloom at odd times, and the lingering glances she exchanged with a stranger. Her family's watchful eyes noticed, subtle yet unrelenting. Questions arose, suspicion brewed. The safety of Eleanor's heart felt increasingly fragile, suspended on a delicate thread between joy and danger. One evening, as the sun sank behind the distant hills, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber, Eleanor slipped into the meadows to meet William. The air carried the scent of wildflowers and the soft hum of nature. William waited beneath the sprawling branches of their secret oak, the place where their love had quietly flourished, untouched by the prying eyes of the village. "Eleanor," he said softly, the words drifting in the gentle breeze, "I fear the world is awakening to us. Your family, the village, they watch us closely now." Her fingers trembled as they intertwined with his. "I know," she whispered. "Every glance, every step feels watched. But my heart is yours, William. I cannot deny it." Their eyes locked, the rest of the world dissolving around them. For a precious few hours, they existed solely for each other, wrapped in a bubble of love both fragile and sacred. Yet beneath that brief solace lingered the shadow of reality, the knowledge that one misstep could shatter everything they cherished. Inevitably, confrontation came. Eleanor's family, concerned with social standing and alliances, arranged meetings with suitors, unaware that their daughter's heart had chosen another. Eleanor struggled to maintain composure, torn between duty and the undeniable force of love. How could she honor family expectations when her soul belonged to William? That night, beneath the silver gaze of a full moon, William and Eleanor met once more in secret. The meadows were bathed in pale light, the distant sound of owls and rustling leaves amplifying the quiet tension between them. "We cannot remain hidden forever," William murmured, his voice steady but carrying the weight of urgency. "Your family, the village, they will not understand. My honor will not let me do nothing. We must make a choice that will demand everything we have."
Tears welled in Eleanor's eyes, glimmering in the moonlight. "I cannot abandon you," she said, her voice trembling. "And yet I fear the consequences if we are discovered. My family, they are relentless. How can we escape their grasp?" William lifted her chin gently, his gaze searching for courage within her. "We will escape," he said firmly. "If the world refuses to let us be, we will carve our own path. Nothing, not even fate, can sever what binds our hearts." In that shared resolve, a plan took shape, a daring, desperate scheme to leave Willowbrook behind and create a life of freedom together. Yet every whispered detail carried risk. Once acted upon, there could be no turning back. Love had united them, but courage and sacrifice would preserve it. As stars glittered overhead, they parted reluctantly, hearts tethered by hope and fear alike. Neither could foresee the trials the next day would bring, nor the forces of tradition and family that would converge against them. All that was certain was the bond that had blossomed between them, a love profound enough to defy reason, social expectation, and even danger itself.
The night hung heavy over the English countryside, the kind of darkness that clung to your chest and made every heartbeat echo in the silence. Eleanor sat by her window in Willowbrook, staring at the faint shimmer of moonlight dancing on the dew-soaked fields. Tonight, they would leave everything behind: the village, the expectations, the strict rules of family and tradition. Yet, even as thoughts of freedom ignited her heart, uncertainty whispered in the shadows, blending fear with the thrill of a love unbound. William waited at the edge of the village, hidden in the shadows of ancient oaks, the soft rustle of leaves marking his presence. His eyes searched the darkness, eager for Eleanor's silhouette. When she finally emerged, wrapped in a simple shawl, his chest tightened with a mixture of relief and longing. For a fleeting moment, the dangers of the world seemed to vanish. There was only them, bound by a devotion that neither distance nor a society could undo. With trembling hands, Eleanor grasped William's arm, and together they slipped into the night, moving silently through narrow paths and past sleeping cottages. The familiar trails seemed both comforting and fraught with uncertainty. Dew-soaked fields glistened under the moonlight, the distant cry of an owl echoing the racing pulse of their hearts. Every rustle of the wind, every snap of a twig beneath their feet reminded them of the peril that followed. But yet, in those shared moments, their love shone brightly, a guiding light in the darkness. Hours passed as they moved through the dense woods, their bodies weary but their spirits unyielding. William kept a steady hand on Eleanor's shoulder, his touch a constant reassurance, grounding her when fear threatened to take hold. "We are nearly beyond the village," he whispered, "just a little farther and no one can touch us." Eleanor nodded, drawing courage from his certainty. Yet doubt lingered, uninvited. Could love truly overcome the forces aligned against them? Could courage and devotion outweigh the anger of families, the rigid chains of tradition, and the relentless eyes of society? Every step was weighted with consequence, every breath a mixture of exhilaration and dread. As dawn painted the horizon in delicate shades of rose and gold, the lovers paused by a quiet river, its surface catching the first light like scattered diamonds. For a fleeting moment, they allowed themselves to dream, a life beyond fear, a world where love could be spoken openly without restriction. Eleanor leaned against William, her head resting on his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart, as though it could shield them from everything. But even in this fragile peace, danger was never far. Voices carried across the distance, faint but unmistakable, the first signs of pursuit.
Eleanor's chest tightened with panic as she clutched William's hand. "They found us," she whispered, terror threading her voice. William's jaw hardened, resolve flaring in his eyes. "We cannot turn back now," he said. "We've come too far. We must keep moving no matter what." They hurried along the riverbank, the mist curling around them like a ghostly shroud. Each step tested their endurance. Each glance over the shoulder reminded them of the relentless chase. Yet, even as danger pressed close, their love burned brighter, a beacon guiding them forward. They whispered reassurances, promises to never let go, and dreams of a life that seemed almost within reach. By midday, they reached the edge of a dense forest, its canopy offering concealment but also masking the path ahead. They moved cautiously, acutely aware that one misstep could betray their presence. Every sound, a snapping branch, a rustling bush, made their hearts leap. And yet, despite the fear, exhilaration surged through them. They had chosen each other over everything, and their bond felt unbreakable, even against the threats closing in. Then, just as hope seemed within grasp, shouting pierced the quiet. Eleanor's pulse raced. "They're close," she whispered, voice barely audible, trembling with both fear and determination. William squeezed her hand. "We face them together," he vowed. "No one will tear us apart." The forest blurred around them, branches scraping their skin, the soft earth giving way under hurried steps, cries of pursuit echoing through the trees. Hearts synchronized, senses sharpened, every nerve alive with adrenaline and love. Yet, in the back of their minds lingered a silent dread that courage and devotion alone might not be enough to defy fate. As they reached a narrow clearing, sunlight breaking through the treetops, they paused to catch their breath. Their eyes met, a silent acknowledgement of the ordeal they had endured and the danger that still awaited. In the distance, the faintest shadow moved, a reminder that their journey towards freedom was far from over. In that moment, Eleanor and William understood that their love was no longer just a secret. It was a force, a story of courage and devotion to be remembered for generations. Yet the ultimate test, the defining trial of their fate, had only just begun.
The forest held its breath as Eleanor and William pressed on, the morning sun casting dappled light across their path. Their bodies ached from the relentless flight, every muscle crying from exhaustion, yet their hearts refused to yield. Love had carried them through fear, uncertainty, and the unknown. Still, fate had a cruel twist in store, one that would test the very essence of their devotion. The distant cries of pursuers grew louder, carried through the trees like a warning. Eleanor's eyes widened in panic, yet she clung to William, drawing strength from his steady presence. "We cannot outrun them forever," she whispered, voice trembling as the weight of reality settled over her. William shook his head, determination blazing in his eyes. "Then we face them together," he said, voice unwavering. "No matter what happens, nothing will separate us." They moved cautiously through winding paths, avoiding main trails where discovery was certain. The world beyond the forest, Willowbrook, the expectations, the judgmental eyes of society felt distant and unreal. Here, in the heart of the wilderness, they were free. Free to breathe, free to love, free to dream. But freedom, as they soon realized, could be fleeting. Their pursuers were relentless, and in a clearing dappled with sunlight, they were finally confronted. Men from Eleanor's family appeared, faces etched with anger, frustration, and desperation. The forest seemed to shiver under the tension, every leaf and branch holding its breath for what was to come. William stepped protectively in front of Eleanor. "We ask for nothing but the chance to live in peace," he said firmly. "We wish only to be together." Eleanor's father's eyes burned with fury, yet beneath it lay fear. Fear of losing control, fear of dishonor, fear of a world shifting beyond his grasp. "This cannot happen," he said, voice trembling with suppressed emotion. "Your love brings shame. You will return to the village, or—" The threat lingered, heavy in the air, suffocating and final. Eleanor looked at William, eyes filled with a silent question. Could love truly conquer tradition, fear, and consequence? A tense silence followed. William opened his mouth, ready to plead, to offer solutions, but before he could speak, Eleanor made the choice that would seal their fate. Her hands trembled as she stepped forward, voice firm yet full of sorrow. "I cannot ask him to defy the world alone," she said, gaze locked with William's. "If there is any chance of peace, I must do what I must to protect him, to protect us." William's heart seized, confusion and fear mingling with love and trust. "Eleanor, what do you mean?" he whispered. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I cannot risk you, William. If we stay together, my family's anger will follow us wherever we go. I cannot let that happen. But if I return, perhaps they will leave you in peace." William shook his head, refusing to accept her sacrifice. "No, we are together. I would face any danger, any punishment, rather than be without you." But Eleanor's resolve was unyielding. With a trembling hand, she gently pushed him back, her love for him visible in every movement. "Go," she whispered. "Run while you can. Live, William. Live for both of us." Time seemed suspended in that final heartbeat. William's mind raced, torn between love and reason, desire and duty. Then, as the family closed in, reality descended like a tidal wave. The forest echoed with cries, footsteps, and the inevitability of fate. Eleanor's final act of courage became legend. She returned to her family, each step breaking her heart, while William fled into the wilderness, carrying the memory of her love like a flame that would never die. They were separated by fate, tradition, and the unyielding weight of society, but their hearts remained entwined, bound by devotion that neither time nor distance could erase. Years passed, yet the story of Eleanor and William endured. Villagers whispered of their love, poets recounted their courage, and songs immortalized their passion. It became a tale of devotion, of hearts so entwined that even the cruelties of the world could not sever them. Though they never reunited in life, their spirits remained inseparable. In dreams, memories, and in the quiet corners of the world where love transcends boundaries, Eleanor and William met again and again. Their story became a testament to the power of love, the sacrifices it demands, and the enduring bonds it forges even against the harshest currents of fate. In the end, the legacy of Eleanor and William was not only remembered, it was felt. In every whispered breeze through the forest, in the silver light of the moon on the fields, and in the hearts of all who dared to love against the odds, their devotion lived on. Pure, courageous, and tragically beautiful, it became a beacon for generations who believed that love, in its truest form, could endure beyond life itself.